What if I told you that Bethesda just released a remaster of Oblivion, but left every single ounce of the original jank perfectly intact? That's right, it looks better than ever, until an NPC opens their mouth and completely derails reality.
I'm going to follow you and watch you and worship the ground you walk on.
Welcome to the Oblivion Remaster. It's still cursed, and it's still awesome. Back in 2006, Oblivion was a big deal. It was Bethesda's follow-up to Morrowind, and it was hyped as this next-gen, open-world fantasy experience that would redefine RPGs. And in a lot of ways, it actually did. It gave us a massive open world with fully voiced NPCs and real-time physics. These features were absolutely wild for the time. You could explore anywhere, you could break into houses, or you could become the arena champion. It was open-world freedom before that became the standard for everything. I still remember the very first time I played it. I was about 15 years old, sitting in front of one of those old plasma TVs that weighed more than a small car with no idea what I was about to experience. I remember playing through the sewers and finally reaching the exit. The outside world had me in total awe. I just stood there, totally frozen. I'd never played a game that felt so open before. It was like being handed a fantasy sandbox with zero instructions and infinite possibilities. But Oblivion was also weird. The enemy scaling meant bandits could be wearing full Daedric armor just because you hit level 12. NPCs would wander off and do things on their own, and sometimes that thing was getting stuck in a wall mid-dialogue. Everyone had the same 6 voice actors, so you'd be doing a dramatic quest about betrayal and honor, and then hear the exact same guy 2 minutes later saying,
"Have you heard any word about the other provinces?"
Nothing I'd like to talk about.
I've heard others say the same.
Heard any news from the other provinces?
The character faces looked like they were made out of mashed clay. The conversation system involved wildly emoting while trying to manipulate people with pie charts. And the guards, they had psychic crime vision. Steal a fork in an empty room and somehow a guard from 3 towns over will bust in like you just assassinated the Pope. But for all its weirdness, Oblivion had heart. It was ambitious, it was goofy, and it had this raw, unpredictable charm that no modern RPG has really managed to replicate. Let's talk about what they actually changed in the remaster, because despite how cursed Oblivion still feels, there's some real improvements here. First up, the visuals. The remaster brings in overhauled lighting, new shaders, upgraded water, and better textures. Sunlight cuts through the trees, torches actually cast dynamic shadows, and the forests don't look like low poly salad anymore. It's not a total remake, but it's a major glow up. The world finally looks like the fantasy epic it was always trying to be, instead of a tech demo someone forgot to finish rendering. Water reflections look great. Nighttime actually feels like nighttime, and there are fewer harsh edges everywhere. It's like someone turned the bloom down from blinding god beam to pleasant atmosphere. Next up is the combat. The remaster doesn't completely reinvent the system, but it does smooth it out. The sword swings feel weightier, spellcasting animations are snappier, and hit detection isn't quite as floaty as it used to be. You're still gonna be clanking swords with mud crabs in a weirdly slow slap fight, but overall, it's tighter. Enemies react more consistently, and the audio mix during battles actually gives you a sense of impact. You're still gonna die to a bear at level 2, but at least now it'll look and sound cooler when it happens. Oh, and they added a new sprint animation. It's useful for sure, but it kinda looks like your character is trying to do a low-stakes Naruto run through Tamriel. You haven't fully lived until you've chased down a deer with your arms flapping behind you like a medieval anime reject. Then there's the character creation. This is where things really needed help, and thankfully, they delivered. The original system let you tweak dozens of sliders, which somehow always led to the same result, a vaguely haunted thumb person. In the remaster, faces are sharper, skin textures are more realistic, and presets actually look like people. Not perfect, but way less likely to give you nightmares. And the best part, you can still make total monsters if you want, but now it feels more like a conscious decision and not a system that actively hates you. Other upgrades include a cleaner UI, better inventory scaling, smoother animations during dialogue, and overall improved performance stability. No, it's not bug-free, this is still Oblivion, but the frame rate is more consistent and load times are faster, which means less time staring at a loading screen and more time listening to a guard yell at you for trying to read a book that isn't yours. So no, the remaster doesn't change how Oblivion feels, but it does finally make it look and play like something that belongs in 2025, instead of something you downloaded from a sketchy mod site. So how's the remaster actually running at launch? Honestly, better than I expected. This isn't a total disaster like some Bethesda adjacent releases I can name. It loads quickly, runs smoothly, and I haven't fallen through the world once, which in Oblivion terms, that's basically a miracle. That said, this is still Oblivion. Some bugs are gone, others, they survive the graphical overhaul like cockroaches in a nuclear winter. The AI still does whatever it wants. NPCs will walk straight into walls pause, turn around mid-sentence, or just stand there emotionless for 10 full seconds before saying hi. Performance-wise, it's surprisingly stable. Even in big cities, the frame rate holds up and load times are fast. Menus are cleaner and there's less lag when switching between inventory and map screens. The biggest improvement might just be consistency. It feels like the jank is still there, but now it's been organized, less game-breaking, more charmingly chaotic, like the bugs got a project manager. So far, I haven't had any major crashes, no corrupted saves, and no moments where the game just said no and deleted my progress. That doesn't mean it's perfect, but as far as launches go, Oblivion Remastered came out of the gate surprisingly strong. And let's be real, if you're playing Oblivion, you're not here for it to be polished. You're here for a game that hands you a sword, a prophecy, and a 1000% chance of seeing something unexplainable. Look, no matter how pretty the remaster is, no matter how smooth the frame rate feels, Oblivion is still Oblivion. And that means chaos. The Radiant AI system was way ahead of its time for sure, but also completely unhinged. NPCs have full daily routines. They eat, they sleep, and they wander around, and sometimes they spontaneously commit crimes or walk into a wall for 40 minutes like they forgot how their legs work. I've seen shopkeepers lock themselves out of their own stores. I've watched a beggar walk into a tavern, steal a carrot, get attacked by the entire town, and then blame me. The game wants to be immersive, and to be fair, sometimes it nails it, but just as often you'll be in the middle of a serious story moment when a guard runs up and yells,
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Because you accidentally brushed against a plate. The best part? It's not just glitches, it's personality. The chaos is the game. You never know when a quest will go off the rails, like that one where you infiltrate a fancy dinner party and slowly assassinate the guests one by one. Or the Dark Brotherhood quest where you literally kill someone in their sleep while everyone around them just shrugs and goes back to bed. It's a world that's constantly trying to be serious, but it just ends up being hilarious, and somehow that makes it feel more alive. There's something magical about a game where anything can happen, especially when it's not supposed to. So even though the Oblivion Remaster just came out, that's not the only version of this game making a comeback. Enter Skyblivion. It's a fan-made remake of Oblivion built entirely inside of the Skyrim engine. It has new lighting, new assets. It's basically the modding equivalent of building a cathedral out of duct tape and raw ambition. This project has been in development for over a decade, and while it's still not out yet, it's looking absolutely insane in the best possible way. Think of it like Oblivion if it was built today by fans who love it enough to break it down and rebuild it piece by piece. And what's wild is that now, thanks to the remaster, people are rediscovering Oblivion, and that renewed interest is only going to boost Skyblivion even more. We're basically getting two remakes, one that preserves the original jank in shiny new high definition, and one that tries to turn Oblivion into a modern RPG masterpiece. And honestly, I'm down for both. Sometimes I want the original flavor with psychic guards, clay faces, and unpredictable chaos. And sometimes I want the high budget, fully reworked fantasy experience with all the mods and polish in the world. Meanwhile, Elder Scrolls 6 is still somewhere. It was announced in 2018 with the vague mountain in the distance and a logo. And since then, all we have is just Todd Howard, a teaser trailer, and a multi-year silence that echoes across Tamriel. So the question is, should you play Oblivion Remastered? Honestly, yeah. If you've never played it before, this is the best way to experience one of the most ambitious, ridiculous, and charming RPGs ever made. And if you have played it before, especially back in the day, then this is like catching up with an old friend who now has better lighting, smoother facial animations, and still occasionally shouts at you for stealing a cheese wheel. It's not perfect, there's still jank, there are still bugs, but that's the point. You don't play Oblivion because it's flawless, you play it because it's alive, because it's weird, because it's the only game where a beggar might give you life advice and then get into a fist fight with a town guard over a loaf of bread. Oblivion Remastered doesn't fix everything because it doesn't have to. It just needed to bring this world back to life, and it did. Better than anyone expected. So yeah, you should play it. Just save often. And hey, if you've got a cursed Oblivion memory of your own, drop it in the comments. Whether it's a guard teleporting through a wall or a mud crab ruining your stealth run, I want to hear it. And if you want more videos like this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next Elder Scrolls deep dive.